Hello. I've had an emotionally tumultuous couple of days, and I've decided, quite gracefully, that instead of going feral, I'm going to make a YouTube video. This is my top 10 romances of all time. You might be asking yourself at home, who the fuck are you? First of all, shut up. You might be asking yourself, why are you somebody that can give any opinion on this whatsoever? I am just a girl, but I'm also just a girl. Huh? Pretty much since I had free will to start watching my own forms of, media or reading, it's always been about like cute romances. And as I've gotten older and like my frontal lobe has developed, sure, loved Oppenheimer, some really good films, but what it always is a romance. It's giving you're like 9 to 5, I'm the weekend. I am in a very unique position of like a decade and a half of experience in being an avid fan. I know what Trixie Mattel said, if you watch Drag Race, you're not a drag expert, you're a Drag Race fan. Listen, I am an expert in romance. I have 2 disclaimers before we start. First disclaimer, there are not a lot of rom-coms on the list, and that is for 2 reasons. Rom-coms are too short, they're too focused on infatuation, they happen over the space of like a couple of days. Second is that it's a very oversaturated market. Rom-coms are not few and far between. Do you know what I mean? So, poet. A lot of rom-coms end up being great, but not a lot of them end up being outstanding. I would say for that reason, this list is very preferential to like stories that have an ecosystem and can be digested in multiple forms, such as like a book or a TV show or a movie. Second disclaimer, in terms of the genre, I have digested a lot of different forms of what romance can look like. And this list is entirely representative of what I think are the top 10. I have been mindful that a lot of the romance genre is skewed towards sort of Eurocentric ideas of what normal is, so like white straight couples. This list also is quite reflective of how different cultures can add to the theme of a story and how characters can be enhanced by being played from people from different places. So without further ado, let's get started. I am going to hold your hand when I take this off. Yeah, okay. Yeah. This is Kate and Anthony. Let's give you a little synopsis. The book and the series follow a very similar concept of she is here to matchmake her sister, he is trying to find a wife, he starts talking to the younger sister, but they have this sort of like rivalry going on. Eventually we realise that it's sexual, and bum-ba-da-bum, they fall in love. Copacabana. Let's start with the good things. The chemistry here is insane. Obviously, bane of my existence, object of all of my desires. We all needed that somewhat bottled up and injected into our veins. Like, doctor, can I have a shot of bane of my existence, object of all of my desires, please? That scene where he finds out that she's going to go back to India and he's fucking like distraught, and then they're this close, and Daphne walks in, bitch! It was insane. It was so good. I would say I prefer the series to the book. In the series, the character of Kate is actually Kathrani Sharma, and she is played by Simone Ashley. This is what I'm talking about when I say that they sort of enhance the character by adding in a different culture. Because there is just this sort of idea of like family duty that is like really deep rooted in her. And it's very similar in Anthony, the sort of idea of having to do things to make your family proud. This, I think, was almost one of the first sort of like big pushes into better representation. Bridgerton itself is making crazy strides in terms of representing romance in all the different forms. And we love. A lot of my South Asian friends really felt represented by this character. The series is excellent. The book is also excellent. It's really well written. A lot of the Bridgerton books follow a very sort of similar formula. It's heart-wrenching, it's sexy, it's well written. But the character is a white person in the books. Fine, whatever. And I think there is a more shallowness of character, I would say, in the books, which is really odd because you don't really get that. But I often found when I was reading it that the characters would make decisions that push the plot forward, but it wouldn't feel like it was something that they actually wanted to do. Whereas I think the series does a really good job of that. And that is really adverse to have that. Depth in the series, shallowness in the thing. Shallowness in the book. What the series does wrong. I think this is a similar issue that I have with a lot of the Bridgerton shows, is that they are romance centred. The advertising of the series is always romance focused, and the primary plot is two leads and how they come together. But we are too focused in that show on tertiary characters and secondary characters and how their plots coalesce. And I understand, I literally get it entirely, because every new season is a new lead. But it happens too much and it's too annoying. And it gets to the stage where I really think this could have been a movie. The screen time that they get together, added with all of the sort of things that end up getting them in the same room, could have been shortened to 1 hour and 40 minutes. And the rest of the season was boring. It was boring! I'm sorry! And I skipped some of it. I'm going to be honest with you. And I don't care. Next. I'm excited to speak to you guys about this one because I don't think a lot of you are going to know it. But fucking get to know, yeah? We're hopping on a plane and we're flying to Korea. For some Baek Sun-jo and Oh Hanni. Okay. These two are from the series Playful Kiss. It was released in 2010 and it's based off of the Japanese manga that was released in 1990 called Itazura na Kiss. I didn't say that right. There have been lots and lots of iterations of this story throughout East Asian countries. Like, there's a Japanese version, a Chinese version, there's a Taiwanese version, there's lots. The girlies know this story, but this iteration, in my opinion, the best. The plot. These two are classmates. Oh, I love them. They're classmates. Oh Hanni comes into school one day and she declares her love for him with a letter, and he goes like, literally fuck off, like, I don't even know you, like, go away. Then her house, there's an earthquake and her house falls down. But of course, only her house in the whole of that city, in the whole of her street, only her house falls down. Yeah. And she moves in with her father's like old best friend from college or something. It's Baek Sun-jo's father! So she moves in with Baek Sun-jo and his family, so his mum and his little brother, who's a little shit, by the way. This follows sort of like years of them living together at that point, because obviously it takes years to rebuild a house. I don't know. I never rebuilt a house, so I don't actually know. The brilliant thing about this is it's absolutely like opposites attract. Baek Sun-jo is like very, very black cat energy. Like, he is really smart, but he's also like just bored of everything because he can just do everything. And he thinks like everybody else around him is like just fucking, you know, like boring. Oh Hanni, in the adverse effect, is a bit discombobulated. She finds a lot of things very, very difficult. She feels things very fervently. Like, she feels the sort of ebbs and flows of life pretty damn hot. But she loves him so much, and through them being sort of together all that time, he starts to realise that he enjoys how difficult it is that she finds things. He's sort of like helping her because that's the only way that he can seem to like find difficulty and tribulations in his life. And they fall in love. Copacabana. This is like a really OG for me. I watched this when I was like 14. The reason that it's here is it is a little bit juvenile. I do think that they do have relations in the end, but I think it's like a 15, but like a 15 in like 2010 Korea. It's probably like a PG here now. It's there because it's beautiful. It is heart racing, but it's not like sexy heart racing. It's like, oh my god, I love them. Okay, we love. This is like the black sheep of the list, in my opinion. I love her as much as I hate her. Jojo, have you learned nothing? As I have already said, they're here for both what I love about them and what I absolutely hate. These two are from Sanditon, which was a TV show that was published on ITV. The series is based off of the unfinished Jane Austen novel called Sanditon, and they finished the novel and released it at the same time that they sort of released the ending of the series. I haven't read the novel, and I'll tell you right now that I won't ever read it. She is a farm girl, and she helps a sort of carriage wreck that lands in her town. The owner of the carriage is like, oh, you should come stay with me in my house in Sanditon. And this guy is like trying to start up this business and like get Sanditon like popping. She comes and she stays with them for the summer or just a period of time. This Mr. Theo James is his brother. This is Sydney. They get off to a real rocky start. He just presumes that she's some like silly like farm girl who just like yabbers, and so he's like kind of rude to her. And then they're like at a dinner party and he's like, oh, so like what you saying? And she was like, are you fucking talking to me? I don't think you're talking to me. And then he goes like, oh, why did that turn me on a little bit? This is very much like enemies to lovers, but the chemistry here is just unmatched. For him, it's like second chance romance. Kind of, I mean, not really, because it's not the same person. He's already fallen in love and he's like very sort of jaded and scorned, but he falls in love again and he falls in love harder. Some beautiful things from this is one of the times when like they've just gotten into an argument and she like goes for like a walk on the beach or something and she's collecting stones, and out comes a naked Theo James. Out comes a naked Sydney walking about. It was crazy. It was a bit crazy, okay? This could be top 3 if it wasn't what it was, but it is what it is. The issue with this is the last 15 minutes of the first season, whilst trying to tee itself up for like a second season, like a to be confirmed kind of vibe, he, in order to save his brother's fucking failing business, has to marry his first love again, who like let him down to marry a rich man, but now the rich man's dead and she's got loads of money and she's going to invest in it, but only if he takes her back. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, like sure. And Charlotte is left heartbroken because nobody knew that they fell in love, and she fucking leaves. And as she's on this carriage going away from this cliffside, he drives up and he goes like on a horse and he's like, stop the carriage, and everyone thinks it's gonna get saved, and he's gonna say, I want love, I don't care about my brother's business. No, he just says sorry and goodbye, and she's like, don't say that you love me, I don't need to hear that, say you love your fucking wife. This is I cried. I'm not even kidding. I cried for like 2 days after I watched this ending. It really upset me. I was on the like watching it weekly as it came out kind of train. Like that's where I was at. And then guess what? Season 2 rolls around. Everyone petitioned for a season 2, and Theo James decides that he's too good for the show. He's too good for the show. He doesn't come back. So Sydney comes back in a fucking coffin. Oh, don't piss me off. This show gets me so riled up. She gets with like this guy who's like, she's a governess and he like has children, and she like, they do like an enemies to lovers, like kind of like Jane Eyre, like I don't know what they were doing, but it was fine. Yeah, what this does well, it's the most beautiful romance. She persistently thinks that he's still in love with his ex. She's like, oh, he still loves his ex, but I'm falling in love with him, but like he's still in love with this lady and I'm just a farm girl, like what can I even do? And he is like, I don't even care about that bitch, like I love this girl, like she's actually the one. They're trying to organise this boat thing. They're like getting into the boat and he brings up that like quote of a man could not step into the same river twice, for he is not the same man and it's not the same river. Charlotte thinks he's talking about his ex and he's actually talking about falling in love with Charlotte. And then they like row the boat with their hands on each other. At one point, Sydney says to her, I'm far from perfect, you have made me all too aware of that, but for whatever it's worth, I believe I am my best self, my truest self, when I'm with you. So, I would recommend watching this and turning off once they kiss on a hill. You don't need to see any more, and you can just make the rest up in your head, okay? Next up, we have... We love this. This is Emma and Dexter from One Day, the series. I say the series specifically because I haven't read the book, and I will at some point in my life. Once I'd watched the series, I was too emotionally like raw to even consider trying to read the book at that point. I also know that there's a film, and I have seen the film when I was like 15 or something. I don't like the film. I don't like it at all. I don't think the chemistry between the actors is very good. I think Amber Commod her northern accent isn't great, but it's nowhere near as bad as Anne Hathaway's. Honestly, I think she was an excellent cast for this role. Absolutely brilliant. It follows the 15th of July over the course of 2 decades for these two, Emma and Dexter. And it sort of like catches up every year what's happened in their lives in the previous year. It's amazing how it's so concise because it's just one day, and yet how you really understand the sort of like broad scope of their relationship. The series also allows more room for development. I've spoken about Amber Mod being cast in this, but I also do think that Emma being played by a woman of colour really, again, added to the dynamic of what the character is. I would really love to have an edit of her behind the song Normal Girl by SZA. Wish I was the type of girl that you'd take over to mama. Because the gag is, and like what upsets me is that she actually is, like she's the only person that he ever would have wanted to take home to his mum because she's lovely. But she doesn't feel like she's the kind of person that he ends up with because he's into like fucking leggy blondes or whatever. I'm not going to be a footnote in the story of your life. You were the whole story. I am going to... Oh my god, it's the 13th reason. During that scene where it like flashes back to that time on the hill, there's a song called In Cold Light that plays. And it's the one that goes... The song has 2 lyrics. Yeah, 2 lines. It's listen, echoes of your home. I need space. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Most people know the ending to this, which surprisingly, I will say, adds to the romance of it. There's a deeper sense of yearning and loss that is really emotive, but that she also kind of still feels like she's there with him because he's so affected by who she was as a person. I also really think, and you might understand when the list goes on further, that romances where the stakes are higher are far more interesting to me than I love him but he fucking cheated on me. Like, oh, boring. I love him but he's a fucking Republican. Like, boring. Sorry, don't care. Could not care less actually. And like, you know when things don't have an element of depth because they will add stakes that don't really matter. In Purple Hearts, for example, like when they kill off his friend or make her diabetic or that he's, you know, being hunted by the mob or something. Like, I will also say the chemistry between these two is insane. But I do think because of the ending and maybe just the fact that it's only in the form of the series that I'm sort of adding it to the list, that it's not, you know, further up. Next up, we have another solo series. Who's ready? Who's ready? You can't see that at all, I know it. This is Belle and Jack from Artful Dodger. A lot of recent series have like tried to hop on this like book talk, enemies to lovers, Ali Hazelwood, Sarah J Maas like train. I think this show does it in like the best because it's like it's very much like the Love Hypothesis kind of vibes. It's like 2 really smart people who enjoy the same thing. One rich girl, one poor guy. Sort of like passion project, kind of like romance. Basically, it's like a spin-off of Oliver Twist where Jack gets sent to Australia and he becomes a surgeon. She's like a general's daughter out there. She has a passion for medicine and she meets him because he performs a surgery at her house under like general anaesthetic because she's like, oh, I have some of that at my house, that you should come and do it. At that point, like, surgeries are stuff that you perform in front of people. What she figures out is that kind of using it as a distraction for Fagin to steal this really expensive necklace. Anyway, she cottons on and she's like, what the fuck? Like, you actually are the worst. And he's like, shut up, you don't know me at all, and like, you don't know my situation. Look where you live. I don't give a fuck. And she's like, well, you're a thief. Anyway, so they fall in love. There's this one scene in this show where she's been like messing around with some like acids for experiments, I don't know, science shit, and she basically like burned her leg with some acid. Like, he's like, oh, well, let me have a look. And she's like, fuck no, like, we're outside, what are you even talking about? He drags her to an alley, not drags her, but he like pulls her into an alley and fucking lifts up her petticoat and is like, you know, like, oh, is everything okay? That is a crazy scene. That was craziness. So this is everything that it does well. Cons are that the ending of the first season is slightly ambiguous. I didn't mind it. I honestly didn't even really need a second season. That all to say, they've wrapped on the second season. So there will be one coming out, and I'm hoping that it has a more satisfactory ending. My sister hated the ending of this, which is why I'm bringing that up. I didn't care. Next up we have, we're hopping on a plane again, and we're going all the way to the Netherlands. You can't see this for shit. This is Noah and Liv from The Dutch Scam. I know you all don't know who that is, and I need you to fucking buckle in. Scam is a show that originated in Norway in the 2010s. And it's a show that focuses on like lots of different storylines. It's mostly about like teenagers in high school and like romance and partying. It's been redone by lots of different countries. Even America have redone it, but England haven't yet. And if you would like somebody to play Liv's character, then hit me up. Every single iteration has a similar romance between these two. Pretty much the same storyline, but different characters and like different, you know, nuances to it. And this is by far the best. She's so pretty. I literally think I fell in love with her when I watched this. Let me go into a little bit about their relationship. He is like the most popular boy in school, and she is like kind of just like a bit social, like outsidey. Like her whole group is a bit like social outsidey. But he sleeps with her friend and then proceeds to treat her friend really, really badly. She basically confronts him and she's like, "Does your mum not love you? Would you not grow pubes in time? Did everyone make fun of you in the locker room? Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you such a twat?" And he's standing there and he's like, "I love you." He falls in love on sight. And she's like, fuck off, fuck off, fuck off. And then they get together, obviously, because that just is what happens. Reasons why this is better. She's kinder in this than she is in others. You can sort of understand her situation more. She doesn't live with her parents, and so like friends for her are very sort of serious. But I also think she feels very lonely. And the friend of hers that falls in love with this guy is sort of a bit of a... She's just a little bit like annoying, a bit obsessed with him, and like quite weak-willed. Another thing is that Noah here is very much like fuckboy in a different sense. In most of the ones, he's like a fuckboy in like jock quarterback kind of way, like rich, you know, football playing twat. In this one, he's like, you know, paints his fingernails, Matty Healy, breaks gender norms, and then is gonna fucking break your heart kind of vibes. Like, that's who he is. Yeah. And it just works. The storyline in general is like enemies to lovers. There's lots of pining and yearning, and it's like kind of forbidden as well. If you wanted to, I would recommend going around and watching all of the different versions of this relationship, but this is definitely the best. If you want to watch it, you probably don't have to watch the whole series because there's lots of different storylines that get introduced. I would just watch like various edits on YouTube because you can get pretty much like nearly enough every single scene that they're in and what they say to each other from various edits. So I would recommend that instead of going around and watching all of the shows. But if you want to, then do that, but that's going to be like half a year of your time. Next up, I'm pretty sure that all of you knew that this was going to be on this at some point. You're not going to be able to see it when I take it off, but yeah, you definitely know who that is. Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy. This is a staple romance, okay? This is like an OG romance. This is arguably Jane Austen's magnum opus. Magnus opus? Magnum. I like lots of Jane Austen's stuff, and I've read a lot of her books. I like Emma, I like Persuasion, I like Sense and Sensibility, and Northanger Abbey is weird. In terms of ecosystems and like just the storyline in general, like this takes some topping. I'm sure everybody knows the storyline behind this, but basically his friend Mr. Bingley buys the Netherfield estate, and everybody that's sort of surrounding it, like all the various gentlemen that surround that estate, like, you know, get really excited that this really, really rich man is moving to town. And he brings his friend, Mr. Darcy, and they're at this ball, and he's kind of like, oh, like, must I be here? Must I be here? He says something disparaging about Elizabeth, but he doesn't think that she can hear him, and she does hear him, and then he kind of starts to realise that actually maybe he does kind of like her. In the book and in the series, there goes like a second sort of like gathering, and he's like, oh, yeah, like maybe we should dance. And she's like, well, I thought he didn't dance with people who were barely tolerable. Anyway, he then proceeds to fall hard. He proposes to her. She says like, fuck no, you're mean and rude and like you're so pompous, like fuck no. When actually he's not. He's just very gentlemanly and very, very awkward, and he really, really likes her. She falls for Mr. Wickham, who is not gentlemanly, and we don't like him at all. When I'm talking about Elizabeth and Mr. Darcy, I'm referring to the book, to the series, the 1995 series, and the 2005 movie, okay? I'm not talking about the 1940 Laurence Olivier version, nor the 1980 BBC adaptation, both of which I have seen, but they're shit. Not as shit as Lost in Austin, which I've also seen, against my fucking will. They're making a new series, I'm well aware. I'm finger on the pulse of it. I know that Emma Corrin is in it. I'm not sure about them playing Elizabeth. I didn't like their portrayal of Lady Chatterley and Lady Chatterley's lover, but maybe I just need to give them a chance with it. Eager to see how it turns out and whether or not it's going to join the higher ranks of the Jane Austen universe. In my opinion, the 2005 version is the best. I think it combines the sort of like subtlety of romance that Jane Austen had because of her audience with the like sensuality of like modern day context. And obviously that scene with the hand where he like flexes it, I totally understand why that was kept in by Joe Wright, and I totally understand why that's had its flowers like later on. I think Keira Knightley is the best person to have ever played Elizabeth Bennet. And I will say that with absolute chest. You can genuinely argue with the wall, but people are so critical of her various other performances, and I can appreciate how some of that is right, but with this, she plays it excellently. Alternatively, I think Colin Firth is a better Mr. Darcy than the one in the 2005 version, forgotten his name. He plays that awkwardness better. And obviously the one in the 1995 version has the scene with him coming out of the lake, like with his top on, all loose and stuff, which was just, that was insane. Right, one thing I'm going to be interested to see is whether or not the new remake will have a lot of like sexual tension between the two of them. Because of the rise of period dramas like Bridgerton and like Lady Jane Grey. Because also I think it's going to be really popular with modern audiences, and I think that that's what modern audiences want. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here, guys. Thank you for being here. Next up we have, and listen, I'm well aware that this is going to piss some people off. No. It's Jane and Rochester! From Jane Eyre. I fear I'm going to have to do some absolute like paddling work to get you all on board with this. These two here are from the 2006 series. There's a reason why it's above these two. I will try and explain it, but for me it's literally just the fact that the stakes are higher and it feels more heavy for me. I'm gonna get this out of the way super duper early on. I need to get this out of the way. Mr. Rochester keeps his wife, who's mentally ill, in an attic for decades. And this is when I think that this is why this hasn't been as commercially successful as Pride and Prejudice has. This aspect of his wife Bertha being in the attic is such a central part of the plot to why him and Jane don't get married that it can't be lifted out. Whereas there is a scene in this series and in the book where Mr. Rochester dresses up as a Romani traveller lady, and he like proceeds to ask everybody in the house questions about himself to like find more information, and he like ends with Jane and he's like, so what do you think of the master life? Oh, do you fancy him? Like, blah, blah, blah. And Jane's like, why on earth, like, just shut up and go away. That has not been included in the film because it's not a very kind, not accurate, nor it's not a useful addition of a different culture into the film. Like, I think it's just, it's there, it's sort of offensive. It's already a marginalised community, so there's no need for that to be a scene. Which, so I'm happy if future editions want to exclude that. As a headline, the stakes are higher, okay? It's northern, it's far more northern than Pride and Prejudice. It feels more gritty and authentic. Both of these characters are almost explicitly unattractive or like average looking. It's about their likeness of soul. That's what I find very sort of endearing here. Well, friends, we have been chit-chatting for like an hour now. And if you're still here, then I love you. Yeah? And now my hair's down. A bit more romantic and that. Right. Jane Eyre might be controversial, but the best thing here is the series. It's longer, the stakes are higher. The only issue is that it does include that scene that we've already spoken about. It's like forbidden love, it's yearning. There's this sort of like playfulness about their characters when they're both quite like serious. It's really heart-wrenching. And I think Jane is like one of my favourite romantic leads because she is not silly in any way. She's very herself, and like I really like her character lots, and so I always root for her. Even the disruption between these characters, when it happens, like, my heart like breaks for her. I think he's kind of a toe rag when that happens, but also he really doesn't want her to leave, and then he has no way of getting in touch with her again. Oh, don't even get me started. Next up we have, you know them and you love them, it's Wilhelm and Simon. Hey! Oh my god, I love these two. I love these two so much. These two are from the show Young Royals. It's a Swedish show about a Swedish prince who gets in sort of trouble with the paparazzi, and he goes to a boarding school, and Simon is a scholarship student there. Something happens and Wilhelm goes from being prince to crown prince. And whilst he realises that he's falling in love with Simon, their chemistry is unmatched. And also what I think I like about these two is there's a real sense of friendship there. They are like best friends that then realise that what they're feeling for each other is love. They feel like each other's safe spaces, and they're really, really compatible. And again, it's like external issues that, you know, force them apart, not their compatibility. The plot line is very them-centred and yet also interesting. There are interesting subplots, but when it's them, it's like, oh, they're back on my screen and I love them. It all accumulates in a really well thought out way. So well done for whoever wrote this. In the first season, it ends with them not being together. And then in the second season, it's like second chance romance. Friends to lovers, it's like prince romance, it's like popular boy, unpopular boy. There's so much going on. And like the yearning that Wilhelm does in the second season is fucking insane. I like sit and I watch and I like, my heart's like here and my chest. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. These are the only queer couple that's on the list. And as a woman who fancies other women, I recognise that that's a bit annoying and frustrating. I've written a little bit about it, so let me just try and get this out. I think within the broad range of genre, only in the last 25 to 30 years have queer storylines emerged, and more recent still, ones that feel authentic and kind and speak to the experience of being queer in a more romantic way. There's an increase in queer people being played by queer people, which I think is really beneficial, and an increase in queer people being written by queer people, which again I think is really beneficial. Where we get too close into stereotypes of people, like gay men, things become boring. I'm not really interested in like the sassy gay best friend's plotline, even if he has his own romance in that. These are two very clear characters that have obvious personalities and motifs and feelings. Their romance just flourishes in like every single thing, and that's why they're up here. I think it's just important to say that we're in a frustrating scenario where the genre is so heavily centred in one space. It's hard for certain things to get represented well. This is amazing. Some honourable and dishonourable mentions. So I'm going to start with dishonourable mentions. There are some relationships that are canon and even like quite popular amongst modern audiences that I think are awful, and I just want to explain that. Ezra and Arya from Pretty Little Liars. Number 2, Big and Carrie from Sex and the City. Number 3, Aidan and Carrie from Sex and the City. Number 4, Anna and Christian from 50 Shades. Number 5, last but not least, Elio and Oliver from Call Me By Your Name. That last one you genuinely can go argue with the wall because I'm not discussing it. And now we have some honourable mentions, some close contenders. Starting off, we have YA fiction, most specifically Twilight, Divergent, Mortal Instruments and Vampire Academy. There was a time when we were all there, okay? We were all sat. This is not list-worthy, in my opinion. None of the romances there are like particularly amazing, but they did pave the way for lots of this. Honourable mention number 2. We have Hermione fanfic. There will be no questions at this time. Honourable mention number 3. I have the subgenre of women love women. I recognise that as a queer person, my list is heavily centred around heteronormative relationships. But to me, there have not been anywhere near enough like cute romances written about 2 women. There are 2 pieces of media that I think have done it in a way that I think is like adorable and cute. We're looking at Atypical and we're looking at Crush. With Women Love Women in mind, I have super duper high hopes for the Francesca season of Bridgerton. With that in mind, the next honourable mention is Bridgerton Other Stories. Again, they're great alongside their respective books, but the stories need more attention. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, sometimes in the Bridgerton things, I think they're chemistry centred and sometimes the chemistry isn't there. Moving from Bridgerton to other Shondaland works, we have Grey's Anatomy and Scandal. Next, this is such a rogue choice and I really hope that you go away and watch this film, but we have Julie Baker and Bryce Losky from Flipped. This would honestly be my number 11. And last but not least, let's give a shout out to what I think are some of the best rom-coms. Zoe Deutsch in New York Films. We love you. Thank you so much. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. 27 Dresses. Princess Diaries 2. Love Rosie. He's Just Not That Into You. 10 Things I Hate About You. She's All That. Sleeps in Seattle. When Harry Met Sally. The best. Okay. And now it's time for our number 1. And this could be premature me saying this, but I am going to go ahead and say it absolutely. The best romance book and series that has ever come out. Genuinely. Belly and Conrad. People are going to think this is recency bias. I'm being so serious. I have never been more invested in a fictional world than I am right here. I need them to be together insane amounts. My entire personality shifted in 2022 when that came out for the first time. And the fact that I've not had enough of them for 2 years, I hate Jeremiah. I don't hate him because it's a character, but I really don't like him for Belly. They're family friends. They go on holiday in the summer together into a cousin's beach. She comes back one year and she's like hit puberty and she's like she's fucking slaying it. And she gets with Conrad because she like really likes him and loves him and stuff like that. He is hiding the fact that his mum has terminal cancer, and I think he's like not emotionally grown yet to deal with the fact that he's angry and also in love with Belly. Basically, season 2 happens. They split up. His mum dies. They get into a big argument. Belly then gets with his brother. I totally understand people who hate Belly. There's only been 2 episodes of season 3 out so far. Agnes was like, you like your brother's girlfriend? Oh, she was my girlfriend first. And it's like, let's not lie, she was always Conrad's. Jeremiah is just literally butthurt because he feels inferior to Conrad. So he's like, well, I'm going to take your woman. And it's annoying now because they've been together for like 4 years. So they have more time. But obviously it's always fucking Conrad. Again, the storyline. The fucking storyline is brilliant because they're so compatible. They love each other. They get along so well. And they've known each other forever. But it's external factors that are putting them apart. My God. Yeah. My only complaint so far about this whole series, The Summer I Turned Pretty, is that we've had too much Jeremiah. I need him off my screen. The books are amazing. Jenny Han wrote the books really well. I would also say that perhaps the series is better at character development than it is. In the 3rd book, she introduced like more different perspectives, whereas like the first 2 are very Belly focused, and so it's hard to understand what Conrad is doing from those actions. Whereas in the series, you actually really can understand where he's coming from with like every single thing that he's ever done. What we need is more of them being compatible. I need more just scenes with them together. And that's the list. These are the best. And I can't tell you how cathartic this has been, because it really has been a horrible, horrible